heard of people saying that women live longer than men? Like, even when people have been married for long, you'll find that if the woman dies first, the man is most likely to follow, as opposed to if the man dies first, the woman will probably stay a bit longer. Now, that has different attributions. However, even in most scientific studies and disease processes, being a male alone has a higher risk of poor outcome, meaning either worst form of the disease or even death. The only conditions where we tend to find women tending to have a higher risk is in autoimmune diseases, or diseases whereby the body attacks itself as a result of the immune system going out of control. Now, let me give you a little bit of a science class. So, number one, the X and the Y chromosomes have been tried to be studied. First of all, there's environmental factors, but due to this particular video, I'm going to explain a bit more on the genetic factors. So one, the X chromosome is larger than the male, while the Y chromosome is smaller. That means the X chromosome also has more genes in it, and the Y chromosome has less genes in it. The X chromosome has better repair capacity. Like, if any DNA has any problem, something going on, the X chromosome has better capacity to repair as opposed to the Y. Now, remember, as women, we have two X chromosomes. I got one X from my mama and one X from my dad. And men have X and Y. Because a woman, I don't carry Y, all my children, for me, the only thing I contribute is an X. So the man is the one who will either give me a Y or give me an X to determine the baby that I'm going to have. So if my X combines with his X, we're going to have a baby girl, i.e. moi. If my X combines with his Y, then we're going to have a baby boy, i.e. you. So I hope that simply makes sense. Now, because remember, the X chromosome is the one which has more genes, it is much stronger, more resilient, has better repair capacity, better. Now, for me as a female, I have an X and another X, meaning double that power wrap. So I have good backup protection. With one X is not doing well, the other X is going to take over. So the longevity is much better. As opposed to the man who has one X, which is really good, which he gets from his mama. And then he has a Y, which is not so great. And so because of that, when most times any illnesses are to come or whatever it is, most studies will put males tend to have a poor outcome. So for example, that means that if we were put in an environment and let's say a disease was to attack different people based on just these particular studies or using genes alone, although of course again things like nutrition, environment, other things play a role, but just based on those alone, which of course things don't stand alone, then it means the women would have a higher chance of survival. Does that make sense? However, when it comes to autoimmune diseases, so things like systemic lupus erythematosus, things that are autoimmune, this simply means that the immune system or your body's immunity goes into override. So autoimmune is meaning the immune system is over attacking. Like, instead of it maybe attacking an organism or something else, instead it begins to attack its own cells. So it begins to destroy your own cells because the women's other X or the women's immune system is like strong. So because of that, it can get a high risk of going into override. And therefore, we have a higher risk of getting autoimmune conditions as opposed to men. And again, when it comes to having children, it's easier, of course, then you'd have more women existing than men because, again, the X chromosome is more resilient than the Y chromosome inside down there. My dad had an interesting theory. He said nature has to obviously select for the women because if it came to extinction, which nature doesn't want, our species, if there were 9 women and 2 men, you could easily replicate the world and it comes back. But if there were 9 men and 2 women, then we'll probably really actually get extinct. Because a woman has to carry the child for 9 months, then you're counting in for complications, etc., as opposed to the way around. So yeah, that is it for today. I hope this class made sense. Bye.